All right, we're recording. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Spectrum Talk. I'm your host, Colby Stamport, otherwise known as the Autistic Cowboy, yada, yada, yada. Same shit, a different day, though I've skipped, what is this? Supposed to be weekly. It's 2 weeks now. Got busy. And then tired. And then busy again. And then more tired. Just keeps happening. Just gave blood, or not gave blood, I got blood work done. To see some shit. Gonna get that antibodies thing back, see if I had the virus. So not everybody who has the virus gets antibodies and yada yada yada, some bullshit. I don't know. I had to get blood work done to get some medication refilled and to see if my body is dying for some strange reason because I'm having some heart issues that are fun, for lack of a better word. If I had the virus, that could explain it. And that's just scarring or whatever, and I can get over that. But it's definitely not just me being a little chubby because it wouldn't have deteriorated that fast. So that's I'm a little young to be having heart issues. But that's fun. That's always fun shit. Another fun thing, though, on the less serious side. So Best Buy was supposed to have a restock PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Now I'm going after the PlayStation. I mean, wow. God damn it, Sony. I'm going after the Xbox. I really want an Xbox Series X. I really, really want one. Yeah, Sony's probably going to have the better exclusives, though I don't know. Only exclusive we got is Demon Souls, and that's a remake. It's a great game. All the other stuff is on PS4 and also on PC. Bugsnax is on fucking PC. How'd that fucking happen? But let's see, we got I'm gonna take these damn things off because of glare. But we got the one exclusive that you can get right now, so that's not really that big of a deal. Much of a reason to get the PS5. I have to edit the properties. I gotta turn off the backlight. Or off the where is it? Okay. They're not gonna let me mess with the properties. I need to turn off the low light compensation. There you go. Thank you. Alright. It's weird without my glasses. Mainly because I can't see. Got all this red shit on my nose because of the cold. Put my glasses back on so I can see, because I can't see anything. What was I saying? Saying something. Oh yeah, Best Buy is supposed to have a restock of the consoles, and I'm going after the Xbox because I have most of my stuff on the Xbox, and Game Pass is a great deal. Can't pass it up. There's not really much to play on the PlayStation 5. So I was going to wait. I do want to test out that controller. But apparently this restock was supposed to go live sometime around 8 a.m. It's currently 11:39 a.m. Central Time. The restock has not gone live, at least not in Texas. And it's online only. I've seen very few people actually been able to add it to cart. I don't know what the hell's going on. That's some shit. Sometime after 8 a.m. Definitely sometime. I mean, 2021 is sometime after 8 a.m. But I don't know. I don't know anymore. It's starting to itch. My face is red. I want one. I really, really want one. Don't necessarily need it. Though it would probably give me a little bit of an edge in the Call of Duty multiplayer arena. And I can make some good content out of it, make an unboxing stream, video, shit like that. So, write it off of my taxes. But yeah, it's, I don't know what the fuck's going on with Best Buy. As far as I know, no one's been able to actually buy anything. That's strange. How far is it going to get before it goes live? I'm really I'm really interested to see what the hell's gonna happen here. I don't know. Fucking Best Buy. Guess I'm not gonna get that for Christmas. And I need it so I can play my new 007 game and my new Perfect Dark game. We're getting. So I forgot to talk about that. Last time I did one of these, I was like, "Oh, there's no news," and I don't know if it came out before that or after, but I was like, "Oh, there's no news." I forgot to talk about the 007 game. I'm the biggest fucking 007 fan on the earth. IO, the creators of Hitman, are making a freaking 007 game, and I forgot to talk about it. Now, this thing's probably not coming out for a while, like 2022 earliest, because Hitman 3 hasn't come out yet, and that's what they're currently working on. So I wouldn't expect it for a long time, but we're getting a 007 game. It's weird that I'm kind of upset that it's going to be a third person, I assume. Has IO ever made a first person shooter? I don't think so. I mean, there's been some first person stuff in the Hitman games, but nothing that I can really think of. Yeah, I guess they haven't. So I'm not expecting first person an FPS with multiplayer. Multiplayer will be sad because while it's not the most spy thing in the world, doesn't really have anything to do with espionage. James Bond games are known for their badass multiplayer. One of the most renowned, besides GoldenEye, is Nightfire. And that's probably the only reason that game is renowned, because its campaign's not good. I've played that game recently. That game's not good. That game does not hold up at all. It's not that fun to play, and as it goes on, it gets worse. Agent Under Fire, still great. Everything or Nothing, still great. From Russia with Love, a little weird, but still great. Nightfire does not hold up. I kind of want to go back to GoldenEye. I know it's going to be weird with the controls, but I'd assume it would still hold up decently well. I know GoldenEye Reloaded, or not Reloaded, the remake of GoldenEye for the Wii is good. I never played the 360 version. I would assume it's good. It's just the 360 port. It looks better. I know the multiplayer was fantastic. I'd love to get that up and running again someday, because it's got split screen. I just got to have... Well, I don't know if the 360 version has split screen. You would assume, but I know the Wii version did, which that was a pain in the ass to do, because you got to have all the nunchucks, and you got to be so far apart because the damn sensor. So fun as hell. But yeah, I wonder... they said it's going to be like an origin story, so I wonder what the hell that means. How far back? Because we only really have Casino Royale, and that only is like James Bond right up to the moment. It's like he becomes 007, and that's your origin. And then it's his first mission as being a 00. We don't really know anything before that. We know some things, we haven't seen it. So I wonder how big it's going to be. What concerns me, though, is IO. They're not the best at storytelling. They can, and I believe their biggest attempt was with Absolution, which I liked, but a lot of the characters were stupid and whatever. But it kind of played like a James Bond game. But that's what worries me, is if we get something subpar. Because the Hitman games, at least what I've played, it's not the big... They're not there for the story. It's to have this huge level to you to go fuck around in and be Hitman. There's kind of an overarching story, but it's not all that present. So I don't know how that's going to work with Bond. It seems like it's get match made in heaven, but I don't know. I kind of want the Tomb Raider guys to do it. Crystal Dynamics, but they're busy dealing with the Avengers fiasco. That game apparently has lost a shit ton of money, which makes me sad. I know it was unfinished, but I was hoping that it would get a sequel, because I think if they put a bunch of money and time and got Square Enix and said, listen, guys, this is what we need to actually make the game. It's how long we need. We got the basis. We know we made it unfinished, but that was the hardest fucking part to do, was to figure out what this game is. Now that we got it figured out, we can build upon that. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to build upon it, but I might be surprised. Maybe Square will be like, all right, we knew this was going to fail. So here you go. Here's your second chance. I mean, I really want it because I really want a sequel to that because I think a sequel would do very well. And the story for Avengers is good, but the game is just broken. The gameplay's good. For certain characters, Iron Man, terrible. I hate Iron Man. Iron Man, you would think would be the funnest one to play. He is not. Not even close. The funnest one to play is Captain America, followed by Black Widow, followed by Miss Marvel. Everybody else but Iron Man is kind of interchangeable, but it's power gap Iron Man. Iron Man's so bad in that game. He feels terrible to fly. His fucking abilities suck. Everybody else has some range. I didn't really like Hulk, but he was better than Iron Man. Thor had a bit of a learning curve, and once I got that learning curve, I liked him. Kamala Khan's great, and then Black Widow and Captain America's just so damn good. That with a sequel, if they were able to correct a lot of the issues, which the issues they had were the game just being broken, it just being unfinished. That's the game's biggest issue at the moment. And of course, it not really having any in-game content, despite it's supposed to be this like game that's supposed to last forever, like a Destiny. Except Destiny never figured out that formula. Destiny is successful in spite of itself, which is something I don't think people really understand. Destiny should not be a success. Destiny is a success because it's addictive. People have found something in it that is addictive, and it has to do with its great gunplay. I don't like Destiny. Didn't like Destiny. Played throughout the entire game. Hated it. I was like, some of the best gunplay ever. Don't like this game. Don't like the multiplayer. I actively despise the multiplayer. Didn't like anything about it. Well, but it got better after that. I don't care. I was year one Destiny. I got burned. Wasn't playing it again. Destiny 2 came out. Gave it a shot. Never finished it. Hated it. Like, what am I going to do at that point in time? But it was successful in spite of itself because for those who like the grind and shit, it worked. But even then, it's not as big of a moneymaker as people make it out to be. Now they've gotten separated from Activision, things are getting a little bit better, but Destiny is not something I would want to copy. Its success is something I want to copy, but it's more like dumb luck. If you want to copy something like Destiny, and it makes money, you copy gacha. The gacha games, little slot machine, pachinko bullshit. That addictive, it gets people addicted to it, so they keep spending money, which is part of what Destiny has that works. Because it sure as hell ain't its story or characters. I mean, think about it. We had one guy that people really liked, and that was it, and then they killed him. And that really had to do with Nathan Fillion voicing the guy, but both those games are so fucked up and are such a mess that Bungie is trying to damage control all the time and trying to make their own game now that the reins have been taken off by Activision since they bought themselves out of their contract. But Avengers trying to copy that model is not a very good model to copy because it's working in spite of itself. However, if they got a chance at a sequel, or whatever the hell they're going to do with the next-gen versions, because there is no next-gen version right now. They're still working on it. And some people are speculating, I remember Angriest Pat from Castle Super Beast speculated that they're going to do a soft relaunch. Same game, but it's going to be actually done. Which would seem to make sense since they don't have any next-gen version. You could play it on the next-gen systems, but it's still the broken-ass mess that it is. They're going to have a different game, or a finished game, come whenever the hell they're going to release it. And they just had some DLC. Now you can play as Kate Bishop, which is cool, but I don't care because I'm done. I played the story, and it was great, and I loved it. I really loved the story. It was one of the best climaxes in video games. Straight up, it goes hard, and I wish the game had been finished because I think it would have. I think it would have made its money back, but it's sad to see that it's not making its money back, and they're probably going to be in the Square Enix holes or the mines for a while, trying to make that money back But I would have liked to see Crystal Dynamics do a James Bond game because I loved what they did with the Splinter Cell. Jesus, they could make a good Splinter Cell game with Tomb Raider. So who were the guys that did? There's another studio that started doing Tomb Raider. They did the last one. It wasn't Crystal Dynamics? Can't remember, but they could probably do it. But IO, the Hitman stuff, like the actual like the doing the detective work and finding stuff out and getting your targets and your kills, that's great for James Bond. Except Bond doesn't always kill people. That's not exactly his job. That's cool, but you got to marry it with, you know, the other shit of James Bond, like a good story. So I'm kind of I'm a little wary of it. It's cool, but I'm so glad we're getting a new James Bond game. Bond skipped an entire video game generation, so I'm glad that he's back. But I don't know what this game's going to be. I'm almost positive it's going to be a third-person game, and that can be good. The last third-person Bond game was great, Bloodstone. If you find a copy of it on 360, play it. It should be cheap as hell. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So it's not exactly that I'm against third-person Bond games. It's just I grew up with James Bond video games, and they were first-person shooters. And, you know, playing GoldenEye with friends and shit like that. Like that's what I remember. And not just GoldenEye, but The World Is Not Enough, which is a great Bond game that no one talks about. Only on the N64. The PS1 version sucks. No, the Nintendo 64 version of The World Is Not Enough is fantastic, campaign-wise. The multiplayer, I didn't play a lot of multiplayer, so I don't know. Tomorrow Never Dies is not good, and that's probably where my distaste every time I see third-person Bond comes from. It's because Tomorrow Never Dies is not good. I'd like to go back and revisit it, but it's a third-person shooter on the PS1. It works about as well as you would think. It wants to be Siphon Filter so bad, and it doesn't. It doesn't ever become Siphon Filter, but you and Boxy Pierce Brosnan do some shit from the movies. At least I think. The environments don't really look a lot like the movies. It's really hard to place, and I don't know if it's because I'm not as familiar with that movie, or if the game is kind of not. It's like the environment sort of look, we're in a club, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but for whatever, or not for whatever, for whatever happens, I hope the game's good. And though I'm not expecting it to come out for a few years. If it comes out this year, or not this year, but 2021, I'll be very, very surprised. Because it just got announced and they haven't released Hitman 3. Also, I don't want it to have a very quick turnaround. I want them to spend their time on this Bond game. Yeah, does it suck that I'm going to have to wait on it? Yeah. But I really, really want to I've lost my train of thought. I want this game to be good. Though part of me is wondering if this was supposed to be announced earlier. Because it got announced randomly. It's like, we're making a Bond game. There's no gameplay or anything. It was just a little video. But Ion owns the rights. When it comes to video games, they kind of don't care a whole lot. They kind of let people do whatever they want with video games. But what they do, and they do this really well, is when they let people make video games, have licenses, they usually lend or get the actors into the process. Bloodstone has Judi Dench and Daniel Craig in it. I don't know if any of the other cast was in that game. I know Felix wasn't in it, but they usually got everybody. They got Daniel Craig for GoldenEye, which was a remake of the movie for one, and they got him to do the remake. They also got him in for Quantum of Solace to do some more dialogue, along with everybody else. And part of that's probably because Daniel Craig, the stand-in. No, that Craig seems to be just up for anything and really easy to work with. And then Judi Dench is a working actor, so she's always up for shit. But a lot of people are kind of apprehensive to video games or other work that they're not as familiar with. voice work or voice acting is a lot different than just regular acting. There's not as much to go off of, and it takes a lot more talent. In certain areas, voice actors probably couldn't go and just walk on stage and be just as good, as there might be too much to work with. It all depends. Though you can get some people that are well-rounded and can do both very, very well. Pierce Brosnan did pretty well when he came in for Everything or Nothing. It is not him in Nightfire. They picked a guy who sounds absolutely nothing. He's not even doing Pierce Brosnan impression. He sounds nothing like him. He sounds about as much as Pierce Brosnan as I do. I don't know why they didn't just make it a different Bond like they did in Agent Under Fire, who was just a made-up Bond. Like, he's not based off an actor. It was originally supposed to be Roger Moore, but he had a scheduling conflict and couldn't do it. That would have been cool. But didn't happen. So they got this made-up Bond. Is this guy we created? That would have been cool, which apparently, if I had to guess, this is what's going to happen with this new Bond game. I have a lot to talk about old news. But what's not old news, well, I guess it is at the Game Awards, I watched that whole 4-hour thing. Something got announced pretty damn early in the show, because it was kind of a big dick swinging move that I thought would have been safe for the end of it. What got saved for the end was kind of confusing. Perfect Dark is back. And I'm so excited. And that trailer, I never saw it coming. I was like, man, what is this? Oh, the Initiative. Oh, that's Microsoft's new, like, quadruple A studio. Oh, man, I wonder what they're doing. Eco Sci-Fi. What the fuck does that mean? Oh, man, this looks so cool. It comes up there, pans up, and then I see the pistol. The pistol gave it away, and I was like, wait a minute. Is that the pistol? And then I see a woman. I'm like, no. And then it says Agent Dark. I'm like, this. I screamed. I said, it's fucking Perfect Dark. And then, and it showed the title, which is interesting about that title. Is it's not blue. It's red. Why is this interesting? Because in the last 2 Perfect Dark games, yes, there were 2. I know we like to forget about 0. It's all been blue. Blue is kind of her color. But this is red. So to make me wonder, is this a sequel? Is this a reboot? Is this a remake? Is this a completely just has nothing to do with them other fucking games? Because Perfect Dark 0 was a prequel to Perfect Dark. Which is weird. Because a lot of the cool shit that happens in Perfect Dark that you would like to continue is not present in the prequel, because the prequel doesn't have any of the... Well, hold on. It's been a long time since I've played 0. But I don't remember aliens. Because in Perfect Dark, there's aliens and shit, and it's really cool. It's not just your regular spy shit. It's like, this is bigger than you could ever imagine. And like, bullshit, I've been around, and it's like aliens. And you're like, fuck, okay. I'd not see that kid. His name's Elvis, and he's like buddies with the president. Okay? Oh, you're right. This is bigger than I thought. Now you gotta go to this alien planet and blow up the queen or some bullshit. I was not prepared for that. Perfect Dark 0 is... I remember some robots. I don't know. I should probably load that up on Rare Replay and play it, because I honestly have no idea. But I'm very, very excited for this. We're getting a James Bond game again, which skipped an entire generation, and another Perfect Dark game. It's like the N64 generation. We're getting Bond and Perfect Dark. Fuck yeah. So you know what would have been cooler? If it said the Initiative, and it was like Eco Sci-Fi, and you saw the Initiative, and it panned out, and it was that dude from Jet Force Gemini. How many people would have been confused? Like 30 people would have lost their goddamn mind. I'd have been one of them. And then everybody else in the world being like, who is that? What's Jet Force? Jet Force Gemini is an amazing game. With some weird-ass controls. I don't recommend... Well, don't play it with the new controls, because I've actually heard they're worse. You can play it in Rare Replay, or if you're lucky enough to have a cartridge or emulator or whatever, you can play it on the N64 controller. The controls are still weird regardless. Oh my goodness, I cannot breathe through my nose. They're weird regardless, but that's not the reason the game isn't fondly remembered. The game is not fondly remembered because you'll get 3/4 with that through that entire game. And as you go through, there are like these tribals, like the little citizens of this planet that's being taken over by the ant people, whatever the hell their name is. And you can save some of them. You can accidentally kill a bunch of them, and whatnot. But a lot of them are hidden. You don't just run into. You have to go find them. But it being a rare game, you think it's just collectibles. So you don't necessarily need all the collectibles to finish a rare game, do you? Usually, no. But you get 3/4 of the way through, and the game stops you and goes, hey, if you want to finish this badass journey, you have to go back and collect all of the tribals that you missed. Okay. Which you first you think, okay, doesn't seem like that big of a deal. How many are there? 282. Fuck this game. Most people did not finish that game because they got to that part and it said that and they went, are you fucking for real? And they threw the controller down and never played it again, and then put in Donkey Kong 64. Rare made a lot of Nintendo games. I never played Donkey Kong 64, but I have a fond memory of it for some reason, despite never playing it. I don't know why I have a fond memory of it. I know it's weird, but man, Perfect Dark. I want another Jet Force Gemini so bad, just Jet Force Gemini 2, because it had such a cool idea, and there were a bunch of neat weapons, and just there was something about that game that I really, really loved, and I'd like to see it done again, just without the bullshit controls and weird progression blocking fetch quest collectathon bullshit. Oh man, the chicken I ate earlier was trying to kill me. But, you know, I don't know. I want another Jet Force Gemini, but we're getting another Perfect Dark, so I'm okay. I'm pretty sure we're not getting Donkey Kong 64 too, so Perfect Dark's as close as it's gonna get, so I'm on board with that. It's got to be weird for Rare to see someone else do their game. Like, I know they did Donkey Kong Country, but Donkey Kong wasn't their baby. That was Nintendo, and Nintendo went, here, you make one. And they made Donkey Kong Country, and they kind of perfected it in the sequel. And they were like, no one can make Donkey Kong Country like us. And then they made Donkey Kong Country 3, and no one really liked it. And then they went and fucked off into other shit. And then Retro comes out of nowhere after making 3 of the best first-person shooters ever made, and some of the 3 highest-rated Nintendo games ever made in the Metroid Prime trilogy. And they go, we can make a better Donkey Kong game, but first, let's learn how to make one. They make Donkey Kong Country Returns, which is awesome, and then they make Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which is one of the highest-rated platformers of all time. Rare's got to feel like shit because they haven't really done a whole lot 20 years. And Retro has just been banger after fucking banger. Retro's so good that they tried to give away Metroid Prime. Let's let another developer do it. Let's let them put their stuff on it. And they'll make Metroid Prime 4. And they failed, and Retro went, okay, give us the baby back. We'll put whatever our stupid secret bullshit we've been working on for like 15 years over in the corner, and we'll go fix Metroid Prime 4. Still don't know what they're working on. They've been working on something else. They have not just been sitting and waiting. They've been working on something for a while. A lot of people have speculated that it's either what was it? Some kind of Star Fox kart racer, which I don't know if that sounds good, because to me it's like, how is that different than 1, any other kart racer, and 2, Mario Kart? And would Nintendo even be down for that? Why wouldn't they just be like, we'll just put Fox McCloud in the next Mario Kart? Now, that would be pretty neat. Mario Kart 9 gets announced, and it's made by Retro. And it's like, this ain't your granddaddy's Mario Kart, motherfucker. That'd be neat. The other one is, the idea was, what is it? What's the name of the game? Captain Falcon's in it. Oh man, I feel fucking stupid. I know the last one was called GX. What's it called? Fuck it, we gotta look it up. What is it? What is it? What's the stupid game called? I gotta type in Captain Falcon. No, I don't want his framed F-Zero. It's F-Zero. That was the other idea floating around. They're making an F-Zero game, which would be different. They have jumped around and made 3 different. That would be the yeah. If they're making F-Zero, or even this weird kart racer bullshit, they will have made 3 different types of games. Their first three being a company, by the way, down in Austin, Texas, created by a guy who you would not believe started one of the most successful studios in video games, because he literally got caught by Nintendo in a hot tub full of cocaine and hookers, and then got ousted from his very own studio, to which he would go and make the Guy game, which then got taken off store shelves and then investigated by the FBI of suspected child pornography. Now, granted, while the game was pretty sleazy, it's all about answering questions to see boobs, pretty sleazy, they didn't do it on purpose. Now, granted, they probably should have did a much thorough background check instead of just asking drunk people what their age was. Of course, when you go to ask someone who is obviously drinking in public and put a camera in their face, they're going to tell you whatever the legal age was, which is 21. Then we come to find out that some of the people whose breastises they put in the video game were 16 and 17 years old. Oh my God. You could, motherfucker. But, they got lied to. That's not their fault. What's their fault is they didn't do a little more research. But this guy, this idiot whose name I cannot remember, who has apparently disappeared, the cocaine hookers guy, the dude bro of dude bros, created Retro Studios in Austin, Texas, which has become one of the most prolific video game developers of all time, because their very first out-of-the-gate game was Metroid Prime. A revolutionary take on the Metroid series that even Nintendo wasn't sure about, but Nintendo hasn't known what to do with Metroid since, 94? They haven't known what to do with Metroid in forever, and they did it, and it became world-renowned. Then they made 2 sequels, which were also world-renowned. I took a break. Donkey Kong Country Returns, the best one since Donkey Kong Country. Then Tropical Freeze, probably some people consider it the best platformer ever made. Pretty great track record, but they went from a first-person shooter to a side-scrolling platformer, and now a racing game, maybe. Or what I'm thinking they're actually doing, since the Star Fox rumor keeps coming up, is they're just making a Star Fox game. And I don't know what the hell that's going to look like, because Donkey Kong Country is the only one that they've done where they've taken a franchise and decided to make another one of them. It's like, we're going to try to reinvent it a little bit, but it's still going to be recognizable. It's still going to be Donkey Kong Country. Metroid Prime is not recognizable to Metroid, but when I think Metroid Prime. I think that is the best of the Metroids. That's Metroid Prime. It's in the name. So when I hear Star Fox, I don't know if they're going to try to make Star Fox 64. In fact, they might think that that's the best that type of game is going to get. So they're going to make their own game, and that's why it's been taking so long. It's because reinventing the wheel is taking some time. I just don't see it being this weird kart racer thing unless it is, unless it's F-Zero. If it's F-Zero, that's cool. That hasn't been touched since the GameCube. A next-gen F-Zero game would be beautiful. Or this gen, because it's going to be on the Switch, would be beautiful. I honestly can't wait to see what the hell that would be. It doesn't have to be retro. It could be anybody, but I want to see another F-Zero game. But I'm thinking it's going to be a Star Fox game, but we're never going to know. Or, well, we're not going to know soon because they got to finish Metroid. But between Tropical Freeze and then picking up production on Metroid Prime 4, They've been working on something. So, what the hell is it? Do I gotta go take the hour trip down to Austin, go knock on the office doors, figure out what the fuck y'all are doing? I mean, no one's probably there, I hope, because of the COVID restrictions, but we live in Texas, so I'm going to guess that there's not many restrictions. It's probably going to be city restrictions, because the state don't give a shit. But I don't know. Whatever they're working on. I mean, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be great, but whatever they're working on besides Metroid Prime, I'm sure is going to be good. I just want to know what it is. If it's Jet Force Gemini 2, that would be. They're just making all rare shit now. Banjo Kazooie. Only on Nintendo Switch and Xbox. We made a deal with Microsoft. How that would be something. Because Rare can't make its own games anymore. They are mess with their own IP anymore. So it's just other people. So Retro makes a deal with Microsoft. It's like we'll make you that platformer that you desperately need. I mean, they have Ori, but like 3D platformer, get you guys well rounded. But it's got to be on the Switch. We got to make Daddy Nintendo. But it will only be available on the Switch and the Xbox. And then Microsoft will be like, all right, cool. What you got? It's like, and then they just hold up a sign that says Banjo 3. And like, okay, let's do it, motherfuckers. Let's go. Banjo game by Retro would be pretty tits. Yep, I'd have to say that'd be pretty great. Let's see what else I got. Yeah, Mass Effect got announced. It's both a Dragon Age game, which would already been announced, but they showed it again, and it didn't say Dragon Age 4. It just said Dragon Age, and I was like, that's weird. What? This seems really weird. And then Mass Effect got announced. Not Mass Effect 4. It just says Mass Effect will continue with. And you saw Liara. So. What's happening? This almost seems like something a company does right before they get sold. It's like, look, we're doing shit. We're valuable. Buy us. Except that they're not getting sold. They're owned by EA. EA doesn't sell stuff. They shut things down. So I'm very curious. Now, granted, the first Dragon Age was called Dragon Age Origins. And then we had Dragon Age 2. So I guess if one's called Dragon Age, that hasn't been done yet. Because Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age Inquisition, and now just Dragon Age. Because BioWare does not know how to name shit. The Mass Effect had a pretty good track. It was 1, 2, 3, Andromeda, and now whatever the hell this next one's going to be. It takes place after Mass Effect 3. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see how they write themselves out of this. Because I did not mind the ending of Mass Effect 3, but it seemed kind of definitive in a lot of ways. And not that you couldn't have a story go after it, because especially in the updated ending, where there were multiple paths, all of them ended with Shepard being dead, which is kind of fucking stupid. But none of them really seemed like they had. If you did a game after that, and I always thought it was possible to do a game after that, but if you did, you'd have to pick one. You had to pick an ending because every ending had such drastic consequences. It didn't make it seem like it, but if you actually paid attention to what they were telling you, you couldn't do a game after them that incorporated all of them. Everything would be too different. So, and especially one of the endings is you just tell the guy to fuck off, and he blows up everything. So, though, I think that might be the ending they go with, because at the end of that, Shepard takes a breath, and you see the chest plate move. So that's probably going to be the one they go with. Now, granted, Liara is part of a race that can live for like hundreds of years, so everybody might be long dead, but I doubt, and I mean seriously doubt, that Mass Effect comes back and Shepard's not involved. They want a lot of goodwill. They want to show people that Mass Effect's still there, still a viable brand, get all the fans happy. Shepard being that, maybe not like at the beginning. Maybe you are playing as somebody else. Maybe you're playing as Liara. That'd be cool. And then you find Shepard. That'd be pretty badass. But I don't know. It BioWare just fired, or a bunch of people at BioWare just left, so I don't really have a lot of faith in this. And I don't know how long BioWare is going to be around. Which is sad. It's really sad to see that, but it's sadly true. Like, I don't know how much longer they got before it's over. And even then, the same people that made those games are not there anymore. And with EA getting worse in some ways. Though with Star Wars, they got better because Fallen Order came out, made a big splash, and they were like, okay, people like good games. Huh, go figure. They'll just spend out the ass to buy a good game. Okay. Fuck. Star Wars Squadrons, which is a great game, and it's only $40, and it doesn't try to nickel and dime you. Maybe EA's learned. Partially. Or maybe that had to do with Big Daddy Disney showing up and threatening them, because that happened. We don't have details on that. We don't know what was said, but we do know phone calls happened, and Disney was reportedly upset with the reception of Battlefront 2 because it made them look bad. Had nothing to do with how much money it made, or didn't make. It made money, by the way. It had to do with making people look bad. Because once you do with them kind of numbers, it doesn't really matter what you do. It has to do with how you make brands look. And when it looks like a Disney-sanctioned item came out, shit the bed, and made the whole company look bad, didn't look good. Didn't look good. Because it's one thing if you shit your own bed and look bad. It's like, well, I did that, and there's no one else to blame but me. But if someone goes and shits someone's bed in your name, and you're like, hold on, I didn't fucking do that. That's not me. That's not me. Different story. So Disney went and made some phone calls, and oddly enough, after that happened, Battlefront 2 got better. And then Fallen Order came out and was great. Could have been better, though, if that game needed to be finished. And then Squadrons is good. I'm wondering what happened there. I can't exactly trust EA. I don't know. I do not know. What else got announced? Oh yeah, there was that one. We got two games that are made by the same people, we got two games that were made by the guys who made two other games that are essentially the same game, but having used different titles because they're no longer affiliated with the companies. First game being Back 4 Blood, which is the Left 4 Dead game made by Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock made Left 4 Dead, despite what Valve will have you believe. Turtle Rock's like the only studio that was able to get out from underneath them. And they kept their name in the title. They were able to leave Valve and go make other shit that didn't do well, but they still were able to do it. People know Turtle Rock for Left 4 Dead, unlike the guys who made Portal and the guys who currently made Half-Life Alyx. It's not a Valve game. It's Campo Santo's game. I got a problem with Valve doing this and making it seem like Valve made the game. PlayStation has exclusives, right? They do. They have exclusives, and we know they have exclusives. Who made Spider-Man? Did PlayStation make Spider-Man? No. Insomniac made Spider-Man. Made God of War. Wasn't PlayStation. A lot of these games, like fucking Horizon Zero Dawn, that was Guerrilla Games. Actually, I blanked on the studio that made God of War. I completely blanked on that. But Insomniac made Spider-Man. We know these studios. Valve, I watched that trailer. You cannot see the company's name in it for Alyx. I had to look through the game's credits to see it there. And they talked about the acquisition of Campos Santos, who made Firewatch, who had to cancel their current game so they could make Half-Life Alyx. Yeah, they made that game. Valve gave them really no credit. And that bugs me. It bugs me a lot. Because they do it a lot. Because they can't make their own games anymore. Yeah, whatever. I just... credit stuff bugs me. Bugs me a lot. Okay, so we're going to finish this podcast off with. How about a rant against Cyberpunk? I was not going to play Cyberpunk. I remember when it was announced, I was very excited for it, but that was in 2012. I was excited for a lot of things back then. It was a different world. So different. But I was excited for it. CD Projekt Red's good. Especially after I played The Witcher 3. I was like, man, I'm even more excited. Got less and less excited as I saw how the company handled it. One of the things being trans representation, which the company does not really seem to understand what that means. Now, full disclosure, I'm not trans in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't have gender dysphoria in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I've always been pretty secure in my own, not just masculinity, but in the fact that I am a man. I'm manly. Always have been. I'm okay with my pronouns. I've always been. There's a lot of things I'm not sure of, a lot of things I'm not comfortable with. That is not one of them. So, I'm an ally, but not a... Wait, a member? What'd you call it? Member makes it sound like they got cards. I guess member of the community. I'm a member of the LGBTQ A+, the whole alphabet there. And that's not a joke. It's just... When you have an abbreviation, it's usually supposed to abbreviate it, but it almost seems like it would be shorter if you just actually listed out all the things. But all the letters have significance. It's just, if you get tongue-tied easily, it's just a mouthful to say. But I'm a member of them, and being the bi. Yes, the bi. Yeah, more elusive and mysterious than the gay. But I'm not trans in any way, so I cannot speak to how they feel. But as someone looking on the outside and seeing trans friends react to this, I can see that how CD Projekt handled this wasn't great. How they basically told people to shut up wasn't fun. How they had employees make incredibly tasteless and offensive jokes at their expense. How they didn't fix any of the problems and actually doubled down on one of the fetishizations of trans people in the game and highlighted it and just went whole hog into it, it being a fake commercial in the game, and seemed to not address it at all. Now, one of the cool things in this game, and this is cool if you are a trans person, is you can play someone with whatever genitals they have. You can be a man with a vagina. You can be a girl with a dick. Doesn't matter. You can have the penis too. Which is so stupid. No. Are you not satisfied with regular old penis? Well, do I have a deal for you? Penis too. No, and that is great. You can feel seen. You can actually make yourself in a game more than you ever could. However, I still say Saints Row did it better, as you cannot have whatever voice you want. As a male or deeper sounding voice will always correspond to being a male, and a lighter female sounding voice will always correspond to being female, though that's not how it works in the real world. Whether you're trans or not, there are people with much higher voices and feminine sounding voices. There are people with much more masculine sounding voices, whether they are trans or not. And the excuse for this is, well, other languages, they're very gendered and you have to record a bunch of voice lines. To my response being, record the other fucking voice lines. You make them sit in a booth and go, all goddamn day. You couldn't make them read the same line but with different gendered language. That's not that hard, man. And we know you got money. We saw how well The Witcher 3 sold. You ain't some indie studio, so don't give me that bullshit about language being hard. It just seemed like a lot of lack of care. Like, whenever they were given genuine criticism, they just didn't care. It was always a response of, we love queer people and we go to Pride and this and that. To which people would go, we don't care if you go to a fucking parade. We care about about the representation. It's like saying you have black friends and then still continuing to be a piece of shit racist. Doesn't matter how many black friends you got if you're still racist. Now, a lot of this could be forgiven. Maybe shrugged off, right? If there's one particular issue. And I haven't even talked about crunch yet. And by the way, there's almost no video game developers that don't have some level of horrible crunch. Crunch is an industry thing that we need to get rid of as a whole, and one of the ways that we can seek to reform it or get rid of it in some way is through unionization. It's kind of the only way. Unionization or just straight up laws. There's almost nothing we can do. But there are very few of them. One of them being Supergiant, who has put in company policies to reduce crunch as much as possible, including forcing people to go the fuck home. Good on you guys. Like, seriously, Hades was nominated for Game of the Year, and if your policy is no game that treats employees poorly can win, at least in crunch culture, then yes, that is your only Game of the Year contender. Straight up. Crunch is also worse than indie dev, as there is no one there to watch them, so people will quite literally work themselves to death. So with Supergiant, I'm actually very impressed. But no, I haven't talked about that. Crunch about, though, CD did lie about. Straight up. And then I got found out about it. So that's bullshit, and we shouldn't reward that. But when we look at the merits of arts, like Last of Us 2 was my Game of the Year, and it won Game of the Year at various outlets, and I was very, very happy for it. Did have a history of crunch, and there's some bullshit that happened at that studio that needs to be investigated. People should be held accountable for that. The art as a whole is great. Now, if the game was evil, like it actually preached an evil message, I would absolutely be against it. And turns out, kinda, it's based in part on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and presents it in kind of a bullshit manner. And I didn't know that till it was pointed out to me, and that has actually colored my view of the game. I still think it's a thought-provoking work of art that is legitimately amazing and deserved its Game of the Year, but that was the one legitimate criticism I saw about it that was like, oh fuck, that's actually that's real. That's legit. Okay, we need to examine that, because that's actually, that can be hurtful. The only thing is I played it and didn't see that, because I actually saw more of how America and the Iraq and Afghanistan wars were, because that was my purview. But once researching it, turns out, no, straight up, he based it off the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And the wolves and the scars being either side of that. And while one of them kind of makes sense, as one is like a very fascistic militarized group, which is the Israelis, which kind of makes sense because in real life they are fascistic and heavily militarized, and shit's getting worse over there. The Palestinians are not horrible, evil people who cut themselves up and and kill trans people. Now, that being said, in the Middle East, there are people who do that. There are cultures who do that, whether they are involved in the Islamic faith or not, that are very anti-LGBT, and so on and so forth. But to paint an entire people as such in your game that's being inspired by the Israeli and Palestinian conflict is kind of fucked up. Because one is, it could be the Israelis as a government, whereas the other is, no, this is the whole fucking entire group of people. And even in the game, it's like that. So yeah, there's some legitimate criticism there that makes that game fall. With this, we're not talking about that. We're actually talking about actions of people and the representation, and something that couldn't be perceived differently, and how they treat it. They had anti-trans employees, some of which were fired. There is anti-LGBT sentiment within CD Projekt, despite what they say. And how do I know this? One, because I haven't handled this shit very well in their games. But another very, very important thing that people are failing to realize, and it's because a lot of the reporting and a lot of the talking is happening in America. CD Projekt Red is located in Poland. Poland is currently going through a crisis, a legitimate crisis. Cities in Poland are being declared LGBT-free zones. There is a rising tide of hate towards the gay community, especially those who are trans, who have always gotten that hate more than gay people. While gay people, lesbians, and bi people, and everyone else will be have been more accepted over time, trans people have always been last. So while you can have people who are like, oh, I don't care about gay people, I love gay people, there are those people who feel that way and hate trans people. There are gay people who hate and fear trans people. It's another thing when they say they go to Pride. I don't give a shit. Going to Pride is not the same thing as being an ally or loving trans people. The country is going through some shit. And CD Projekt may or may not have tied to some political parties and stuff like that. I don't know. Not a lot of that's been confirmed. It's just some stuff that I've seen. But what has been confirmed is the country is going through an actual crisis that not a lot of people are talking about. And it's bad. It's really bad. The Nazis came back, except this time they didn't invade. They were voted in and welcomed with open arms. They're back in Poland. As history has shown, it's not so great when that happens. No, things are really that bad. And it's scary out there for people in Poland. And I feel for them because shit's not so great in America either. But America being so big, you can escape a lot of it. Poland's not that big. And my thing is if you see problems within a company, right, you may be able to hand wave them one way or the other, being like, well, maybe it's just ignorance. Because sometimes it is legitimate ignorance. When you point out legitimate ignorance, if someone is legitimately ignorant and a good person, they go, oh shit, my bad. They don't try to defend themselves. They go, oh, I didn't know. Okay, we'll change that. I will make up for that wrong. But it's like I used that example of someone who said, well, I got black friends or whatever. If there was a game that got released that turned to be very controversial because it dealt with race in a very insensitive way, right? But in some ways that could be seen as ignorant or naive, right? And you could hand wave them. You could. Doesn't mean whether or not you should, but you could, right? As to be ignorant or uneducated. And then you found out that it was made by a team exclusively of white guys. All right? You can hand wave it less or more, actually, because you can be like, well, that makes sense why they're ignorant to these issues because it's a team of white guys. They should have hired people of color, but I get it. Team of white guys probably doesn't know much. Found out that the studio was founded and located in rural Mississippi. Now you can't hand wave it anymore. You have to take that into account. You have no more excuses. Why does the location matter? Well, for those who don't know, rural Mississippi has a bit of a history. You ever hear of a movie called Mississippi Burning? Did you ever hear about those kids that disappeared because they were just trying to register people to vote in the 60s? Well, that was the 60s. Shit's still happening today. People disappear in Mississippi. Mississippi is not a great place to be, especially if you're a person of color. Now, people of color live there. Been their home for forever. Doesn't mean it's a great place for them. At all. When you find out information like that, you go, well, okay, maybe we need to stop giving them benefit of the doubt. Maybe there is some internalized racism there, if not overt racism. So when you find out that a company is doing some stuff that is transphobic as hell, And you find out they're in a country that is not just full of transphobes, but as putting transphobia into law, along with a rising tide of transphobia and hate, you can't hand wave it anymore. You have to go, some shit's going down, and when the company is refusing to do anything about it, maybe they're not so ignorant after all. Maybe the thing is, they just don't care. Maybe they're in line with the bad guys. And when they say, that's not fair, right? That's not fair for the company, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a shit about the company? If the people want to get out in front of this and actually be better, then be better. If you want to separate yourselves from the evils in your government, then separate yourselves. What do you have to fear? You have the money. You have the clout. You're not someone hiding away in their house that has to pretend to be friends with everybody just so they can make ends meet and provide for their family. I know that very well because it's shit that I do have to do. And even then I speak out. You're not that. You're an entire company. Worldwide famous company. You don't have that excuse. So what the fuck is going on? You're either with them or against them. So you have to draw that line in the sand. And if you don't feel comfortable in your home country, then get the fuck out of there. Because you have a privilege that many do not. You can relocate. You could relocate your studio to LA if you wanted to. Or San Francisco. Might be a little difficult right now because of the virus, but you have the money to do so. And you'd probably be welcome with open arms. In fact, it might be cheaper to run your studio in the States. If it came down to that, I would do it. If I had the money to do that, to get away from shit, I would. I don't have a lot of the money. I don't have any of the money to do that. So when I hear these excuses, they just don't hold water, and it kind of makes me think that they don't actually care, and that saddens me because it's a company that I did admire for so long. And that's beside the fact that the game is broken. Should not have shipped the way it did. Even on PC running top tier cards, it's not running well. I'm amazed that it's gotten some high scores that it's had because I've watched it run on top tier PCs and it does not look great. And that's excluding the fact that it was not ready for console release at all. And there is no next gen release. No matter what you play it on, it runs like shit. The best way to play it is with a 3090. How many of those are floating around right now? How many people can afford that right now? Not many. So you want to play it on the console? Well, one, don't, because it doesn't work. And they knew about it, and they've admitted to it, and they put out a broken game and charged you for it anyway. In a lot of ways, it is worse than the Avengers, because I've seen it. Avengers, I played all of the Avengers, and while it was broken, there was a lot of bullshit. It had a solid frame rate. This doesn't. All that on top of the fact that for whatever reason, they put in a almost one-to-one replica of a helmet that induces seizures in epileptics, down to the color of light and pattern. A helmet which you have to put on in order to progress through the story. There's no way to get around it. I don't know if this has been patched out yet or what. This can literally fucking kill people. I do not understand not only how anyone thought that was a good idea, but how it got past QA. And I understand QA can only do so much, right? They can find stuff and they go, well, you can get rid of this, and the company can go, fuck you. I understand that. And apparently, Xbox and Sony allowed it to get through compliance, the game, even though in its broken state, because they were assured that it would be fixed by the time it released. The game has still not been fixed. So some heads are going to roll on this one because Sony and Xbox are pissed. PlayStation and Xbox are pissed. But what I do know is that in this game's current state, it would never be allowed on Nintendo platforms, even if the Switch was powerful to run it. To which my thing is, it's not even about power, as the game is not optimized and is not finished. let's say if there was a Switch Pro that could run top of the tier, ray tracing and 4K and all that bullshit, the game would never come out on it. Why? It's because Nintendo, and I'm surprised that the other the other guys don't have similar rules. I always thought that they did. But Nintendo has very, very, very strict rules when it comes to flashing lights. It comes to epilepsy. Nintendo has an entire book, which they wrote, on how you can avoid causing seizures in people, in video games, and in media, in order for it to be approved to be on a Nintendo console. For you to get on that damn store, it has to meet this criteria, down to showing you within tenths of a second how of what when a flashing light can hit here and here. And if the lights are too fast, fails. You have to fix it. Otherwise, it will not be allowed on a Nintendo platform. Because Nintendo, somehow more than anyone, takes this shit very seriously. And everybody should take it very seriously. Because this shit will kill people. Epilepsy is not something to be fucked with. And here's the thing. A lot of people have epilepsy and don't know it. Nothing has been triggered yet. And the thing about this particular helmet, which is used very safely in a medical setting, because you're in a medical setting with a doctor. So if you start having a seizure, the doctor's right there and they get to you and you're fine. It's to see what can set off these seizures and what types of seizures they set off and so on and so forth. Because not everything is a grand mal seizure. You can have seizures without realizing them. Seizures that cause you to black out. Seizures that basically give you extreme brain fart. You just kind of forget how to talk. You lose track of time. Not everything is you falling on the floor and convulsing. So people can be playing this game already and have had multiple seizures and have not known it, but have caused themselves incredible amounts of damage. I'm upset. Because I cannot believe that this happened. I've been this upset since Incredibles 2. Because that was bad. But at least you can do this. You can know when it's coming, and there's a warning and everything, and you can close your eyes or whatever, and everything, and then get a buddy to tap you on the shoulder when it's over. All right, we're good. The movie didn't stop and go, no, you have to watch this, or you don't get to the end of the movie. That's what this game does, because apparently you have to do this in order to progress the story. To which then, fuck you. This was found out when a reviewer at, I believe, was it for IGN or Eurogamer? Maybe even US Gamer, though they recently got shuttered, which is such bullshit. One of the top tier outlets found out about this because she had epilepsy, or has it, and the game caused her to go into a full ass seizure. Then had to write a guide of how to play the game without basically killing yourself. This should not have been a thing. This should have been something that someone came up with an idea, and they should have been called a fucking idiot. No, don't ever have that idea again. Don't draw it up. Don't write it down. Don't do anything. You get to go home and think about what you did. That's what you get to think about, and why your suggestion is stupid. Because you could kill people, Tom. Go home. Have a drink. We'll talk about this in the morning. Instead, they went, no, it's not that great idea. Put it in the game, and God knows how much damage they've done. Thankfully, the game runs like shit on the things that are mostly available to people, so they probably haven't gotten that far yet. I can't believe it. They had such little care for people. You could be an epileptic right now and not know it. Not everybody's sensitive to the same things, and not all of the cues for it happen all that often. And when it comes to flashing lights, it's about the timing, how the lights flash, how bright they are. And Nintendo has been on top of that for a very, very long time. And I cannot believe that the other guys aren't, because this should not have gotten past compliance. It should have been legal for it to get past compliance, because like I'm saying, it can kill people. It can straight up fucking kill people. And it was known before it got into people's hands. I don't understand it. This, above everything else, should be the thing that ends the discussion. It's not up for Game of the Year. It's not for Game of anything other than fuck you, fix this. It shouldn't be done away with a patch. This should go down in history as the stupidest fucking thing ever. And this is on top of a bunch of horrible decisions they've already made. I honestly can't believe it. So, and thinking about that, if they were dumb enough, ignorant enough, or just straight up didn't care enough to put something that to anyone with common sense could know, oh yeah, this would kill someone, do you really think when it came to this other shit, dealing with trans people, that they are actually the caring people that we think they are, or that people are trying to say they are? Because I don't think so. I don't think people with actual compassion and empathy would do either. Let alone fuck up this bad one way. Like, this shows me they didn't give a shit either way. And I have absolutely no care to play the game. If it was given to me for free, maybe then I would review it. But this makes me sad for all the people that it could have hurt. For the people that it has hurt. For the trans fans of CD Projekt Red games who are hurt by this. For the trans people who will be hurt by the objectification and the fetishization the game keeps pushing, and the horrible misconceptions that media like this keeps pushing. And for the epileptics who have been hurt by it, and may continue to be hurt by it if this thing doesn't get fixed right. It should be just pulled straight out of the game. This should not exist. I am upset because I care about people. And to see just blatant disregard for human life upsets me to my core. And it upsets me more because it's about something that doesn't matter that much. It's a video game. And it can kill people. This isn't like violence in video games. This isn't some bullshit that people made up. This is an actual video game that can kill people. They made a Republican's wet dream. Like, I don't know how that's fucking possible. Just, I don't know. What I do know is my voice is getting a little hoarse, and I have to make a trip to Houston soon. So that's going to be fun. So I probably should end this now. But we only dropped 814 frames. That's 0.6 of all the frames. And the bitrate kept pretty steady. So that's great. Awesome. I bet Best Buy still hasn't dropped those Xboxes. But whatever. We'll never know, I guess. But what I do know is that that's the end of the podcast. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and all the other episodes. And if you would like more content, I stream every now and then, usually Saturdays and Sundays. Also on Tuesdays, video games. We just finished up Splinter Cell Double Agent. So I don't know what I'm going to move on to next. Sometimes I stream Call of Duty multiplayer as well, or whatever I feel like playing. But for the everyday video content, my lovely wife Jo and I also put up videos daily, Monday through Friday, currently playing through Alan Wake, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I got on a Call of Duty kick. And a bunch of other things that we're thinking about starting up. So we're having a lot of fun over in the channel. And as always, the podcast can be listened to anywhere podcasts can be heard, as well as live here on Twitch, and then the video can be viewed later on YouTube on the channel The Autistic Cowboy. And that's me. That's everything I got. So anyway, God bless y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.